Hello and welcome to The Print. A lot has been happening in the courts of the country over the past few days, and one such prominent development has been the Supreme Court taking Patanjali Ayurved head on for its misleading advertisements. This was on a petition filed by the Indian Medical Association. And in fact, over the last hearing, the Supreme Court even asked Patanjali's co founder Ramdev and its managing director Balakrishna to be personally present before it. Now, Patanjali Ayurved has finally tendered an unconditional apology to the Supreme Court in response to a contempt notice against it. Now, what was this whole case about? What was the petition about? And why did the IMA decide to lead the charge on this? We'll be discussing all of these questions and more in this interview. For this video, you have me, Apoorva Mandhani, and we have with us former Vice President and former Secretary General of IMA, Dr. Jayesh Lele, who actually the charge against misleading advertisements while he was holding these posts. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
So, just to start off, why did the IMA decide to approach the Supreme Court against Patanjali for its misleading advertisements? Take me through the thinking at that point, the sort of options that you guys considered, everything.
Let me just give you a small brief about the Indian Medical Association, which is a allopathic medical practitioners, and almost we will be completing 100 years because it was started in 1928, and now in 2028 we'll be completing 100 years. We have nearly 1800 branches across India. We have nearly 4 lakh life members and another 2.5 lakh MSN, that is a medical student network, and JDN, that is a junior doctor network, are members of this. So that much is our affiliation across India. And to take you back, we are modern allopathic practitioners, but we are in no way against any other pathies who are practicing themselves. We are nowhere, because we only want like to have the proper into that particular field, like how it is occurring in allopathic field. Same is with the other pathies. So we are in no way against anybody. But unfortunately, let me take you to the 2019 end, December 2019 and 2020, when the COVID-19 started sometime. And that is how, in fact, when we in India, we got the COVID sometime in the month of Feb 2020 onwards. And by March and April, May, these 3 months were so bad. And that time we were in a really bad position. And people were not knowing also what is occurring, how to treat and all those things, because there was no research occurring that time. It was definitely started. WHO was guiding, IMA's the think tank, all senior doctors, pathologists, they were guiding. Of course, we were also depending upon the laboratories for guidance, giving treatment. But unfortunately, during the first entire kind of a wave and the second wave occurred sometime in the month from Feb 21 to March 21 was the period when the second wave occurred. And during that time, nearly 13 to 1400 doctors expired during that time. I would take you back to the our honorable Modi ji, when he clapped for all the doctors. There was a putting up flowers, then putting up thali and light and all those things, because that time doctors were courageously fighting in across all the hospitals, and the treatment was not being very clarity exactly what is there, what needs to be done, whether we have to use steroid, whether we have to use antiviral and other things. But doctors were fighting, and in the death rate compared to all over the world, it was much less in India. In spite of all the difficulties, doctors were fighting almost 12 to 16 hours a day in the ICU. Right. And in spite of that time, our help was going to be continuously for the doctors and the patient. But unfortunately, this our person, Babaji, and he is a yoga guru. Yes, I can understand. But then he lamented certain bad attacks on the allopathic doctors.
Right.
Some of just to quote, they say that more patients have died because of giving oxygen. And in 21, he introduced coronil tablet, That coronil tablet was so-called saying that it is against the corona. But I have a report and I have filed myself RTI with the Ayush Ministry, RTI with the this Niti Aayog, and RTI with the government of India, saying that whether the coronil has been approved. And to my shock, it was I got a letter that coronil is not approved for this corona medicine, and subsequently it was withdrawn because we fought for it. But unfortunately, the damage has been done because in some of the areas where in the villages they see whatever occurs on the TV, because TV is the easiest media to reach nowadays, and they saw that the coronil is there. You don't have to take oxygen. But to tell you, in the villages, we lost lot of doctors, we lost lot of patients because proper oxygen management could not be reached them. And that is how. And in one of the debates on the TV, I was on the debate on the TV. I told him that you don't advertise coronil in front of the during the debate show. This is a debate show. This is not an advertisement. And then we had a lot of tough fight on the TV. It is there. The video is available. Subsequently, we realized that this is one of the corona is one of the king. But then they propagating lot of other medicines for blood pressure, for diabetes, for malignancy, for thyroid, and all incurable. Here I must mention that the diseases what we got, that is hypertension, diabetes, thyroid, they are controllable. We must understand what is the disease and what is the deformity. I always guide them that hypertension comes with not only because of your aging process. Suppose at the age of 25 you may not be having, but at the age of 40 simultaneously you have your parents, one of the parents, if they are having diabetes or blood pressure, you are likely to get that. So there is a genetic bearing, there is a modern lifestyle issues, stress, all those things are involved. And that is how they get this important thing that we need to stop this. And let me tell you that this is the time when we started our think tank rolling, that something has to be done, because lot of damage is being occurring. What is occurring is many patients who come to us, they say that they have stopped diabetes medicine and they are taking some churnas and some medicine. And the damage was being occurring. They were landing up with the renal failure. They were landing up with diabetes. They were landing up with the uncontrollable hypertension and all those things.
Seeing these impacts in the patients firsthand, essentially.
Yeah, definitely we saw the impact into the patients, because when they came second time, the blood pressure, diabetes was out of control, and they landed up with lot of issues. They control them. It was lot of problem, and that is how that time our think tank, our seniors, and our patron leader, Dr. Ketan Desai sir, who has been a only president of World Medical Association, IMA, and Medical Council of India, the then controlling body of our authority.
Right.
He continuously guided us. He discussed us, and then it was decided by our think that yes, we must do something, and we need to file appropriate cases. And the initial Supreme Court, this case was initiated by all of us that time. And one fine day, sometime I don't remember the month exactly, but in 21 beginning, in one Sunday, I saw the advertisement occurring in entire India's newspaper, a bucket. And then we realized that the damage is being occurring, and we must put a full stop on this. And that is how the initiation, we went into the Supreme Court, and this thing was initiated.
So basically, you saw the scale of it all and how it had been increasing. And when, just for our viewers, when Sir talks about diseases that can be controlled and can't be cured, of course, there's that medical distinction there. But also within the law, we have the Drugs and Magic Remedies Objectionable Advertisements Act, which has come really handy, because this law basically bars advertisements that claim to cure certain diseases, and it has a list of these diseases in the schedule. And I think, sir, that's what's come in handy for you legally as well in the Supreme Court, right?
Definitely. And when that advertisement appear, 8 major portions of the disease, what we decided, we called our expert into that field, particularly. For example, the hypertension is there. So we called all the expert into that field, collected our complete wisdom on the hypertension. And similarly, regarding the fatty liver disease, regarding the hepatitis, because hepatitis is a general common term, but there are n number of hepatitis cases. Individual hepatitis case needs to be treated with that proper merits and proper medicine and proper precaution. So similarly, in every field which this was being advertisement, every advertisement was properly studied, proper documentation was made with the expert, our expert into that field. And then we went to the Supreme Court to show that this is a kind of a Magic Remedies Act being violated completely. And that time, the Supreme Court Honorable Judge Sri Ramanna was also categorically very much upset with this kind of advertisement. There are two things into that. Only advertisement is one portion, and second portion was commenting on the allopathic medicine, saying that allopathic medicine is why. What was the need to say that allopathic medicines are bad? This is totally misguiding. A person who is not even a medical graduate, not even a graduate for that matter, not even a Ayurvedic, Unani, homeopathic or whatever it is, and commenting and saying that these allopathic medicines are bad, which is not acceptable to all our medical science field and world over. In fact, to tell you, today we are promoting medical tourism. Today we are promoting, there are so many hospitals, robotic surgery, which is par excellence with the any of the European or American or UK standards. So definitely our doctor fields are very much, lot of services are being offered and lot of research has been taking place. And in spite of that, just to take the beating and just to attract attention onto the TV and the media, which was not acceptable to us. Because we are honorable workers and we would like to remain to that level and give proper medicine, proper justifiable treatment to all our patients.
So now, within the Supreme Court, a lot has happened since then. The cases remain pending for a while. And last year in November, Patanjali Ayurved told the court orally that there was some sort of understanding and an undertaking in the court that they won't be publishing such advertisements from now on. But they continue to do so, as I understand. And which is why the Supreme Court lashed out in the recent hearings and said that the country is being taken for a ride and there was an oral undertaking, and which is why contempt notices were also issued, because the court considered it contempt that they had given that undertaking, and despite that continued to make claims against allopathy and claim to cure certain diseases which were under that law. Now, why do you think Patanjali has continued to publish such ads despite the case reaching the Supreme Court?
See, this is again, let me make it very clear, because this is beyond our understanding, is that we are law-abiding citizens. And I am not going to comment on any of the other pathies when I have not studied it. I do not know anything about that. But just to sell my product, you are giving a loose comments on somebody else, lashing at somebody else, and challenging somebody else to have this thing, which is not acceptable. Second thing, the why it was being delayed, probably, from our lodging into the case, nearly 6 to 8 months, they did not come up for the hearing. Something or the other dilly-dallying was going on. And before this also, regarding the coroner also, we have filed a FIR. We have filed a FIR and a case in Supreme Court as well as in Delhi High Court, because where we have filed one case in Patna, and we have filed multiple cases regarding the coronal tablet. Subsequently, the coronal tablet was withdrawn. See, and during that coronal, such an impact occurred onto the patient that on the time, second wave was so bad and we had so much death rate escalating. People stopped taking proper medicine. People stopped visiting hospitals. And they have ultimately, when they were brought in a very, very serious conditions where they couldn't be revived. They couldn't be given proper oxygen, and many in villages, they came at the almost dying hours into the hospital, realizing that this coronal is not going to give them any help. So such a damage is being done. So naturally, the Supreme Court came after we have put in our lot of efforts into this, properly documenting the case, giving proper evidence. See, today we are in the world of evidence-based medicine.
Right.
Whatever we say, it has to be backed up by the research. It has to be backed up by the proper document and authorization. And not only authorization, today with the research and other field, all over the world is watching us. doctors like our community, which is there in USA and UK and Canada and Australia, they were laughing at such kind of being raised that, oh, yes, you are doing this kind of activity, and then saying that our doctors are bad. Whereas you go anywhere in the continent, all doctors from India are very well respected because of their research, their intelligence. So we really were astonished that in spite of the Supreme Court telling this advertisement, anyhow advertisement is bad. We have also filed a complaint in the Advertising Council. We have not stopped any stone unturned to stop such kind of advertisement. Definitely,
What
it is
happened there when you filed a complaint there? Did you respond?
so there what has happened is, because since the matter was sub judice in the Supreme Court, it has not come up there for hearing, because Supreme Court is already hearing. And once the Supreme Court is hearing in detail, and fortunately, subsequent to the Supreme Court order, we saw the again advertisement, and then we filed a second case saying that in spite of your order, and that is how the last 3-4 months, if you study the Rojanama, the court has come very heavily that in spite of stopping and telling them not to do that, they are entering and advertising again.
Sir, I'll just take one last question. Now, you've clearly, like you said, knocked all doors. You went to the Supreme Court, you went to the Advertising Council, and you've been fighting this fight for a while now. Now, are misleading ads generally an area of concern for IMA, even beyond Patanjali as well? And do you think the current laws, the current system, they're enough to tackle these misleading ads for people? Because it's clearly impacting the common man, right? Reading all of this in papers, they think it's credible when, it comes on a front page.
Yeah, definitely. See, today we are in the world of social media. It is easily available in the internet, on the TV, on the phone, and you may have laptop and other things. And advertisement today forms a part of it. But yes, justifiable, judicial advertisement has to be there. Advertising council is there. Proper laws are there. But yes, we need to be very strict. We ourselves tell the doctors that don't advertise. We ourselves tell the doctors that no, you cannot show this video, you cannot show. And there are councils also for regulatory authorities. For example, Delhi Medical Council is there, Maharashtra Medical Council is there, state-wise, and NMC. That is National Medical Commission. So we ourselves have got all the authorities, and whenever any wrong advertisement comes up to us, we ourselves go and oppose it. And that is what we feel, that simultaneously, when we are talking about this law, the law should be a little bit more stricter. Proper attention and judicial advertisement has to be there. No doubt, we must today understand that the media reaches on WhatsApp. You just send one small photo on the WhatsApp, and within no time, it reaches across India. So naturally, we have to be very careful in saying what you are talking. Naturally, you must be very clear in advertising and not advertising to that extent. So that is what our Indian Medical Association is very strict on this matter, and we are doing the same. We are following, and in our various medical, education systems, medical legal issues, we always tell the doctors that please do not do advertisement. You show your work, and the patient will appreciate your work. That is what we respect.
Now that Patanjali Ayurved has given an unconditional apology in the Supreme Court, what next? What next steps do you see from IMA? What needs to be done? Will you keep a keen eye on what happens next in its advertisements? What next, according to you?
No, definitely we will be keeping our close watch on advertisement, not only Patanjali, but any similar. Whether it's a homeopathic, Ayurvedic, Unani, we are not against homeopathy. Let me make it very clear. Let them have their research. Let them have their documentation. And today, patient is the supreme. Patient decides that what medicine he has to take. Patient decides that, yes, but fooling patient is wrong. We have seen lot of heavy metal poisonings. We have seen lead poisoning. We have said, since there are so many bhasmas and heavy metals seen in some of the patients, and the blood tests, and that is how we see that these heavy metals have come from some medicines which have not been documented. See, today we have a drug authority, regulatory authorities, FDAs is there, all those things. So similarly, every pathy should have their own system of medicine. Every pathy should have their own research, and every pathy should have their documented properly guided, evidence-based medicine in every respect.
Sir,
So this recoil will not occur.
So I know you said that you're not against homeopathy and you're talking about evidence here. Patanjali has also been claiming that they have scientific assertions to back their claims that they've been making. What do you have to say about that?
So far, we have not reached any claim like that because this we have been hearing for last 4 years. Because when we filed in Coronil also, they said that they have result. But when the RTI says that it is not for Coronil tablet for Corona, I have that document.
Hmm.
Coronil is not for Corona. Then that time also it was said, but ultimately Coronil was withdrawn. And
Hmm.
today, you've seen after 3 years of Corona, today we have seen we have efficiently fought the Corona virus 2019. We have efficiently have the vaccines. All the patients have been improved. Virus has there's a mutation has changed. And again, to the Honorable Modi ji for timely bringing out vaccine. When the world was struggling, we had some vaccine, we had some protection, and we were fighting in a very courageous manner. And all doctors, medical health workers, because they also have worked very hard. See,
Hmm.
if you go and see the death rate compared to outside, India is having the lowest in spite of the population, in spite of the difficulties, and in spite of all the issues which we were facing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we have really done well and wonders into that field.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. With that, we've reached the end of this episode.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our viewers for joining in. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel and keep following us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.